Hi guys, Romans here and welcome to another music review. I review every album from a viewpoint of a musician, as I'm a singer, songwriter and a bass player for my own group Jakobay, and more than 3 years ago we released our debut album called Pursuits in Life. What makes it unique is that it's a heavy prog rock without guitars. Instead you have drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards. You can check out all of our music videos on my YouTube channel. And in the description of all these videos you will find all the information about where is the record available. It's available on all digital platforms like Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, but also in this digipack version of a CD with a very beautifully illustrated 20 pages long booklet. So in case you want one, all you need to do is contact me via an email, on Facebook or on Instagram, or you can get one through Bandcamp as well. And today I'm going to review the new album from Band Knee, Frosting.
Music review. Music review.
Band Knee is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting bands in the prog genre. Not only because they have a violin player, but also because they're not necessarily a guitar-driven band, and just the general influences are so varied and so vast that it makes for a very unique listening experience. And I actually reviewed their previous album, You Know What They Mean, from 2019. It was a fantastic album, one of the best of that year. And the Land Animal that came out 2 years before that in 2017 is also absolutely brilliant record. I'm not really that familiar with their previous 3 albums, but I'm planning on. And well, I was kind of careful about this new album. I didn't know what to expect because the last 2 records from them came out on Inside Out label, which is obviously the biggest label for progressive artists. But suddenly they had this new album and they were kind of promoting it as being totally different, as basically going away from prog as far as possible. And the label, I'm not sure what the name of their new label is, but it's much more focused on electronic and poppy and indie music. So it just seemed like a huge step somewhere else for Band Knee. And I was a bit concerned, not necessarily because of the musical change, rather than whether the quality is going to be there. Because when a band goes in a certain way for quite some time and suddenly they try something very, very different, it sometimes doesn't work out. I call it Linkin Park syndrome. Like, you know, their first 2 albums were great, the third one as well, and then they just became a pop band and just the quality wasn't there anymore. So, spoiler alert, this album is absolutely fantastic. I've been loving it. I've been listening to it whole weekend. I've heard it 12 times as of now. It's quite a lot. So it came out like 3 days ago, 4. So let's dive right into the review. The album opens up with the track Invest in Breakfast, which has a very bright and very fresh electronic sound. It sounds like pop music from 2010s, and this is generally music I haven't really listened to a lot in my life, so I have very few things to actually compare it to by giving actual names, but I really dig the track. I do, however, have to say that the overall overusage of autotune on vocals was something that took some getting used to. I think that Courtney Swain, the singer from Band Knee, she's one of the best female singers ever in history of music. She's just unbelievably good. So kind of spoiling her voice or kind of reducing the quality of her voice with autotune seems almost like a crime, really. But it makes for a very specific sound and very specific effect, which obviously wouldn't be achievable naturally. Baby in the Bush is a totally different track in comparison, creating a pretty big contrast. It's a very dark and somber ambient track, and it kind of takes its time to dynamically rise from that into that combo of like world and electronic music. Later on there are some very tasty jazzy piano fills. Then another track, Casper. This is again, I've never really listened to this type of pop music like Kanye West or Drake or whatever, you know, this kind of auto-tuned 2010s pop. I really love this track. Again, there is lots of auto-tune, but especially the vocal arpeggiator, I'm pretty sure that Courtney would be able to do that naturally, but it just wouldn't really sound like that.
I can't be a good one. It's where you're born, it's who you're born to. We all tuck in our shirts and get our hands to work in dirt. We work in
So actually the more I listened to the record, the more appreciative I was of all the autotune, because it really serves the artistic purpose of the album. Fighting All My Life is another contemporary pop tune. It's got a very bright sound and a very catchy melody. And actually, it seems like more band members are singing. I'm guessing Ben and Jessica, the guitar player and the bass player, because we also hear like a male voice with autotune, so I guess that must be only Ben. The Upward Spiral is an avant-garde psychedelic electron noise rock to remind us that Band Knee are indeed not a pop band. And this is kind of reminiscent of their previous album, especially Bone Rage comes to mind. We get some tasty but pretty trippy guitar sounds here. I wouldn't actually be surprised if this track was the leftover from the previous album. And from there we go into Set It Off, which is one of the singles from the album, and it's such a beautiful piano-led emotional piece, kind of based on an overused progression, but it doesn't really matter because it works. I love this track, I really love it. From there we go into one of the two interludes on the album, and this one is called Pause, and it's one of those cacophonic moments on the album, especially that pulsing synth that we get. I remember when I was driving in a car and suddenly the sound came in, I almost got a heart attack. I was like, what is it? Is there another car coming, or have I crashed, or what happened? And there are many moments like that on the album that kind of take you out of that beautiful atmosphere. So you will be either okay with that, or they will be distracting for you. I'm somewhere in the middle, but more towards being okay with it after my 12th listen. Heavy Doll is another contemporary pop tune. I really dig it though, and I love how the first and the second verse are just so different. Like the first verse is exactly that modern pop, but the second verse is much more reminiscent of the older Band Knee. Also, the what sounds like horn/string section towards the end is very cool as well. Then we've got Queer Gods, and this is just such a fantastic track. I think that this was the first track released from the album, and the horn section at the beginning alone would deserve a Grammy. Like, it's so great. I mean, it's got that Mexican Spanish vibe, but it seems like certain phrases, certain notes are like backwards, like they recorded it backwards and then they kind of played it backwards so that it sounds like it's reversed. It's just very, very unique approach, and it sounds so fresh and so kind of original. I really dig that. It's very inspiring. Otherwise, it's like this chilling poppy tune as well. Rip Woman is basically like trip hop meets noise rock. It kind of reminds me of that one crazy song from Gwen Stefani. The Floor is Lava is another track, and it's just such a beautiful, nostalgic song. It's got that very old school vibe, kind of reminding me of Lana Del Rey. Cake Party is beautiful, emotional, but still a bright pop tune. OMG seems to be like a mishmash of various parts. This is one of the tracks I still haven't gotten that familiar with. It needs more listenings, I guess. And I can't imagine a more beautiful and gorgeous ending of the album than the track Not This Time. Again, it's very sonic, very atmospheric, and even though it does get a bit groovy a little later on, it just maintains the vibe, and it's just generally such a beautiful track. I think you can already tell that I'm absolutely digging this album. I mean, this year is just very strong. I mean, the new album from Leprous, the new album from Mastodon now, this... I need to have this album on LP, so I guess I know what my Christmas present is gonna be. I love this. I love that record. I do have to say, though, the first time I heard the record, the amount of electronic sounds, and especially the amount of autotune, left me a little baffled. I was a bit like, whoa, what is this? Like, why? But considering how catchy this album is, because really this album has nothing to do with progressive music whatsoever. There are not really time signature changes, there are not really technical parts. It's a very sonic album. It's about sounds. I think Bentley decided to explore the electronic side of music, and they did that beautifully. And the album, just like the previous album and just like Land Animal for the most part, it just flows as one constant flow of music. Of course, apart from really beautiful and catchy songs, there are many moments that are experimental, that are avant-garde, that are cacophonic, and it may not be for everybody. So some people may find these moments distracting. So at the end of the day, it's about whether you like the album as a whole piece or whether you like just certain tracks. But you should definitely give it a chance because it's brilliant. I love this record. If you like this video and if you like the videos I'm making, consider supporting me by purchasing my debut album Pursuits in Life, because I include audio samples in my reviews and thus making them the most informative and entertaining to watch. I usually run a risk of getting a copyright claim, meaning that I won't be able to monetize my videos, and whatever money a video earns goes to the author of original samples and music. I don't have problems with that because these artists and bands, they deserve all the support they can get, but it's extremely time consuming for me to make these videos. So basically the best and the only way how to support me is by buying my debut album. And if you like Bentley, if you like original bands, you're gonna dig my album, and the second one is actually on the way. Have you heard this album already? You can let me know in the comment section below whether you agreed or disagreed with me. If you are a Bentley fan, you can let me know how well do you think it compares to their other records, maybe which one is your favorite one. You can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find the links to both in the description of this video below. Also, if you like this review, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. You can check out my own original music, my live performances, my very popular Worst to Best series, and quite a lot of other reviews and series as well. Thanks a lot for watching.